They haven't said who they are, as far as I know. They may not have been identified yet. Maybe they'll never be identified. We don't know whether it's state-sponsored or whatever. Maybe there's been ongoing reporting since then that's revealed it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure somebody will be out there to tweet about it. But the bottom line is this, right? These enormous data sets are a liability. We know they cannot protect them. You cannot control them. And they can have enormous influence over our lives. All of these people who are coming up on stage and saying these wonderful things about how much they love Bitcoin, how much they love you, how they're going to do all these wonderful things to make something better. The United States is the only advanced democracy on the planet that I am aware of that does not have a basic privacy law. We have the Fourth Amendment, right? That only binds the federal government. That doesn't do diddly squat to protect you against corporations. And the government, for 90% of their work, probably 95% of their work in intelligence nowadays, they simply go to corporations and ask them for information. It's an end run around the Constitution. And we have been able to suffer this, right? Again, the game is too good to leave. Not because we love it, but because we haven't had a choice. Well, we're running out of time to fix this, and the consequences of ignoring it are about to get a whole lot worse. Nobody sees them. This is not Terminator, right? This is not Skynet. This is not robots descending from the sky to drag you out of your home. That might come someday, but that's a long way off. We're talking about things that are much more banal, but much easier to do. We talk about that concentration of power. These politicians, right? A lot of them probably don't love that they have to come up on this stage and give a dog and pony show to dance for the crowd that is suddenly much more powerful. Well, the people that they have always been answerable to are about to get a much tighter hold on the leash, not just of them, but of everyone. So I want to zoom back out because we've only got a limited time this evening and say, look, the reason that the internet feels broken is because it is reflecting a broken world. It's reflecting the consequences of all of these winner-take-all dynamics. It is reflecting the boundless ambition of these generations of princes. And it has left us with an unfair system, which means an unstable system. Why do I think all of this AI stuff is likely? Well, the reason is that unfair systems produce dissatisfaction and therefore are hard to maintain. Well, the people who want to maintain them are those who benefit the most from them. In the current disequilibrium, they're the ones who have the most resources. They have the ability to influence the status quo the most. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep the top spinning for as long as possible without letting it fall over and someone having to write it in a new stage, right? Instead of staying in the same game, even if it's good, we don't want to leave it. We start a new round, right? We start a new game with new rules. The reality is we're not at the worst of it yet, but we are headed in that direction. It's clear to me. And I think if you look at, like, does this feel normal to you? When you look at the candidates, when you look at the dynamics, even the people on stage giving all the speeches, right? I'm not saying they're terrible, right, or not taking a position at all. But this is a little unusual. The fact that they're here is a little bit unusual. Things are changing, and they're changing more quickly all the time. We have passed the inflection point, and we are accelerating down the slope. And we're reaching the point where all of us are about to have to make very serious decisions about how we spend the rest of our lives to try to make the world better for our children and for those who come after us. Our economy, politics, even culture have reduced the access to an equal role. And that has produced resentment, grievance that have blossomed to the point that now every discussion feels like it is becoming an instrument for war by other means. And we are competing constantly, and we are cooperating rarely. And we need to change that. Because if you ask yourself, who is it that's competing, for all of the highly energized talk about like radicalism, increasing extremism, which is not wrong, it's unevenly distributed. I see very little in the way of like cutthroat competition and blood sport amongst the banks. As far as the average worker is concerned, whether we're talking about this election or any other in the last 20 years, a given election tends